Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at some more of my Micronauts action figures. And these are the Palisades reproductions that were produced in 2003. And the particular character that we're looking at today is Pharoid with his time chamber. And this is a reproduction of the original Mego Micronauts Pharoid, which I previously reviewed on the channel. And we'll do a little side-by-side comparison with my vintage original, so you can see, how true it is to the original, and how there are also some differences. So I don't have any mint in package examples of this figure, but I did save the backer card, so I can show you what that looks like. On here, you see the illustration of the character by Dave Dorman, and he did just a fantastic job in terms of, really kind of doing illustrations of these characters. You also have a brief write-up on Pharoid. Also, here you can see a list of some of the extra features that were included with this. The blaster and the chrono wings. Also here you have a listing of various other contributors who made this action figure possible. Picture of the various other figures that are available online, and then also more of Dave Dorman's illustrations. So I'm very glad I saved this backer card because it provides a lot of information about how these were created and when they were created. So cool stuff. So in terms of the extra things that they included with this re-release, this reproduction, they included this extra blaster, which was never part of the original Mego release, and also these wings on the back here too. So you'll notice that these actually have several different pegs on them, so you can actually plug them in different configurations. So you can plug them in this way as well. So very cool kind of feature. And there's also, with the Centaurus figure, they included an extra little back saddle piece, which these will also attach onto. So that's kind of a cool feature that there are multiple uses for these wings. So, and they just included these two extra holes in the back of the figure so you can attach the wings. So in terms of the figure itself, it is true to the original in a lot of ways, but there are some differences. Hold up my original vintage version, and as you can see, side by side, they did a pretty good job in terms of reproducing the head sculpt, and also the fine details of the sculpting of the body and everything. They're very similar. You can see these sort of side wings on the legs. In the original version that I have, they're cast with a gold kind of finish, and these ones are chrome. There are some differences between the various versions of Pharoid as well, so in terms of coloration. So also the Palisades version comes with this little figure stand as well, which was not included with the original Mego version. But very good reproduction overall, and you can see that the major noticeable difference on the back of the figure are those two little portholes, which allow you to attach those extra wings. So you can definitely identify the difference between a vintage and a reproduction very quickly by seeing whether or not those holes are present. So that's a very good identifier, basically, whether or not you have a vintage version or the reproduction. So that's kind of useful. So in terms of the time chamber, I can basically show you side by side what that looks like next to my vintage original. And you can see right away there is a difference. There were two versions of the hieroglyphs that were done on the front of the time chambers in the original Mego release. And in the Palisades reproduction, they only did this version. And it just so happens that my vintage original has the other version of the hieroglyphs. So it's actually kind of nice that I have the variant as my vintage version. And you'll notice also there's a difference between the attachment point here. It's much smaller on the Palisades version and larger on the vintage version. And also on the bottom, you'll notice this is a much tighter fit on the Palisades reproduction, which actually makes it much more tricky to sort of open and close the time chamber, whereas you can see like this curved part on the bottom of the vintage original. So this is much a better design, in my opinion, just in terms of opening and closing the time chamber and not worrying about it sort of breaking. And then on the back, you'll notice the vintage original is marked Japan, and then there's no markings on the Palisades version. So very easy to identify the difference between the vintage and the reproduction if you know what you're looking for. So in terms of these other versions, basically you have a red version here, which comes with sort of a translucent time chamber, which is actually quite nice. And I did a little bit of customizing on this one. I actually swapped out the head on this particular Pharoid. So you can see, because these can be taken apart, there's a little screw in the back of the figure. So you can actually disassemble them and do some customizing. So I basically swapped out the head on this red version with the head from Space Glider. So I just thought it'd be nice to have like a little bit of variation between these various versions. And I do love the fact that they included the time chamber, because it actually helps preserve these figures much better than the other Micronaut re-releases, because you can keep the figure in the time chamber and actually keeps it free of dust and damage. And here we have the blue version. Again, this one is pretty nice because it's cast in a translucent plastic for this part of the body. So that actually is quite interesting, because I don't think any of the original Pharoid action figures had that translucency. So, you know, a very cool looking figure. And again, same detail and same, this is the original head sculpt that was included with Pharoid. So cool variations. And the other cool thing about the translucent time chamber is when you look at it from the back, you can actually see very well the figure that's inside of there. So that's a really nice feature. And of course, they peg into a little port on the back, so makes it easy to remove it and then replace it in there when you want to keep it away from dust and so forth. Keep it away there in the time chamber for safekeeping. So I can show you a close-up of what the Scarab Blaster accessory looks like up close. You can see they did quite a bit of detail on this, and really kind of cool looking, very much in keeping with the overall design aesthetic of the Micronauts. So very nice that they sort of updated that and included that as an extra feature. As you can see with the red version, comes with a translucent red version of the blaster, and then on the blue version comes with this version. So very cool, and I love the fact they did you know, variants with the extra accessories as well. So quite nice. That's pretty much all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of my Micronauts toys in the future, think about subscribing to the channel, because I will be covering more of this kind of stuff in the future. Until next time, I hope you're having a great day, and thanks for watching.